Hi folks, I'm Gibid and I'm here to show you a custom order Traveller's Notebook insert. This is a woodland themed kind of mountain outdoorsy hiking kind of book. The lady who's having it has a TN cover which is at A5 size, which it's going in, and it's not sharing any space with other inserts, so I've gone a bit thicker than usual. I don't normally add as many pages because this is really chunky for an insert. She did also want plenty of writing space, so there's a few blank pages, but where I've added blank pages, they're kind of extra. They're not lazy, they're extra. so I'll get straight into it. There's nothing on the cover at all except this design paper, Tim Holtz, and a little fox charm. I am including a little charm here, which I've put on a split ring so that you could actually put that on your TN elastic if you wanted, and the split ring you wouldn't have to undo the elastic, so, and then that would just fit across the middle there if you want to, and that's got some lovely kind of affirmation words around the edges with a little hair. Very cute, so I'll put that there. Okay. Inside we've got plenty of quotes and lots of stitching, as you will see, around most bits and pieces. There is a teeny embroidery here, and once again please excuse my inky nails. Little yellow flowers. The colour palette that she wanted was muted yellows and blues and greys and greens, browns, so quite kind of muted, not too bright, and not girly. She doesn't like lace, so that's a slightly different look to usual, I think, but I do like the colours. So what I've done is used this paper pack. Let me just pause because I've forgotten the name of it. Here we are. So I've used some of the Graphic 45 Nature Sketchbook, which you probably know, and then first edition's Wild at Heart. This is the one that I've used mostly because it's got exactly the colours that she requested and it's not too frilly girly. So you can see some of the designs there. So it's quite a nice pack. It's got some nice wildlife images. There we are, without being too frilly. Okay, so in this pocket, that's your little card, and plenty of journaling cards. She wanted little woodland animals that you might see on a hike. So there's a little red fox. That's your heading cards. And for the library card, I've chosen Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder. There's a quote up here. Lots of quotes about hiking and being outdoors. This again is that paper pack. This is a nice big pocket. Some affirmations up here. Another quote. This again, that paper. And this is a beautiful vintage book about the Canadian Rockies that I've used quite a lot. It has these lovely colour plates in it. Cathedral Mountain from Lake O'Hara. That's another lovely big pocket with a watercolour. And on this side, I've been trying to, because she asked for plenty of writing space, which lately I've had the opposite request, no writing space needed, so it's been very heavily decorated. So I've just been rethinking a little bit about how to add more space for journaling. So I've put these 2 little envelopes, just one little idea. So stuck them down and put writing paper inside. So this makes a little pocket here, and in there you could put a small card or a ticket or something, and then same on that side, so put a little quote in here. This is a lovely quote from Walt Whitman. I'll just hold it there that you can read it. So I seem to be using him a lot, so that can go in there. So if you wanted, you could even make a tuck behind. I felt it was enough, but it's a nice way to get some extra pockets. On this page, I've used this beautiful painting of this stag, and I've put it with an extract from Midsummer Night's Dream. This is the opening scene, sorry, not the opening scene, it's the opening scene where the fairies come in, where we are introduced to them. And it says, over hill, over dale, through bush, through briar, over park, over pale, through flood, through fire, I do wander everywhere, swifter than the moon's sphere, and I serve the fairy queen, to dew her orbs upon the green. And although it's the fairies, I felt it fitted so well with this noble stag in the forest there, that I've included them together. So a few blank pages. There's a little tuck with some cotton fabric, and a poem here about walking and travelling, and all the journal cards are backed with tea-dyed paper to make them sturdy, and stitched around and stamped on the backs to make them more interesting. Some mushrooms, another stag here on this beautiful postage stamp with these lovely blue and green colours, and that is just clipped to, I made some of these envelopes with a little bit of collaging, lots of stitching, a little extract here from a vintage book about the constellations, and some of this paper, because also this lady, she comes from a medical background, and that's why I wanted to use some of that Nature's sketchbook paper pack, because it has some kind of encyclopedia-like pages. It's got lots of dictionary entries and little diagrams and things, so I thought that was a good one to use. This book does not sit open by itself, that's why I'm having to hold it open. It's because it's an insert, it's one signature, and unfortunately there's no way it's going to sit open, so I'll just hold it. Excuse me, another quote here. Okay, so now, sorry, now I've cleared my throat. Some machine stitching. Oops. I was trying to think of ways to incorporate a lot of some leaf transfers here, a lot of different ways to use lines for writing. I thought this page came out quite well. I've stenciled the back very lightly with some tree stencils, and just done some more stitching across the middle here in wavy lines. Thought that would be really cool to do a bit of journaling on. It'll look really nice like that. So that's the back, and then some of these Edwardian Ladies Diary pages. I've also stitched some writing areas onto here. and then you still get the benefit of the lovely graphics too, and then the blanker areas just used for writing. Here's a little tuck spot with some a fussy cut mushroom that's been backed and stitched all round, so there's a little bit of craft paper on here. And another journaling card, little bugs on that one. This is a vintage countryside book page, another fussy cut, and just some stamping and stenciling on there and stitches. This is printed vellum. So again, some more machine lines here on a double layer of tracing paper, little mushroom inside. There's a quote on this hand-dyed cotton that I have done on the typewriter. And more stitching, some little jotter transfers here look quite cool. There's a little pocket here. This is more of that cool paper from that pack. This is a lovely design, I like using this quite often. Rose hips from the old design shop, and I've added some lines here and here for a bit of journaling space. And I've printed this grass onto the paper that I just found in the garden, and I really like this shape. It's very delicate and pretty. I never weed, that's why I have grasses growing in my garden that shouldn't really be there. But look how pretty it is. I've done some library pockets cut into a sort of leaf shape like so, with some more journaling cards all stitched, some collaging on this page on a vintage, I think this one was, yes, the botany book that is from the 18 something, I think. It's really, really old. So quite thin. I didn't want to do too much to this one. I've just added this wonderful idea of Tracie Fox's, of doing the tracing paper, so that you can still see the book underneath, which is, you know, it adds interest, but then you can write on the tracing paper, which is very cool. And I've just made that into a pocket so that it's a pocket. So thank you again, Tracie, for that idea. I was going to say something. Oh, did I mention that she's from a medical background? So that's why I thought this. I've used this a couple of times. This botany book. It has some of the original notes of whoever was reading it. Some notes in pencil that are really cool. So this text is from the Canadian hiking book, vintage book, and I've put some inked tracing paper. I've shown you this idea before. I used it in the ocean themed book, but I've just done the inking a little bit different. So this is the one that you might have seen already. So with the ocean one, I did the inking so that it looked like water, a bit more like lines of waves, and then spray as well, so that it was like sea foam and sea spray. And then this one I've tried to do, I didn't do any sprays, but I've done it more blotchy, so that it was more like leaf litter and forest floors, and I think that came out nice with these lovely earthy greens and browns. And I've done some stitching here in different colours, and what you can do, if you do several lines of stitching and overlap your papers a little bit by about ½ inch, what you can then do is tear away the outermost, right up to the outermost stitching line, and it comes away quite easily. It's like it's been perforated, and it gives your paper a lovely shape as well along the edge. and then it won't come undone because you've got several lines here and you've overlapped it as well. So that's quite a nice effect. And forgot to say, you can write on here, and I've just done a little example with a white gel pen on a scrap piece there, so that looks quite good. Here is a little flip with a magnet for extra space. With some writing lines. This, I don't know what this is called, this old-fashioned, what we used to get in a big ream that was all joined together for office printing. But I really like these pale lines on here. Some handmade paper with petals. This is a very big pocket, and I found this beautiful postage stamp of a beautiful wolf. So he's gone on there. Tracing paper pockets, and in here is a lovely big journaling card that I have backed with craft paper, so it's nice and sturdy. So you could put it in the pocket, or you could even clip it here if you wanted, you know, however you like. Some stamping. Here is a specimen. This is some vetch that I found locally, so it's been drying for quite a number of weeks. It has these lovely shaped flowers, and I really love the tendrils. I hope you can see that. It's a really delicate, pretty flower. So I've put that inside acetate, and another big pocket here with some more machine lines on there with some stenciling, some mushroom stamps, a quote. This is that lovely nature sketchbook, so it has all these interesting sciencey entries on them. A little tuck, another journaling card, another vintage Woodland book, some animal tracks. And then with the Edwardian Lady pages, I wanted to use some of these that have the tree images on them. And I wanted to make use of all the spaces, so where there was not a lot of interest on the page, it was quite bare, I've put a little bit of writing paper here and a couple of quotes. So these got some really beautiful images. Some extra paper there, and then the other side the same with extra paper. There's a tuck spot here and writing area on the back again, and then that's the middle with some of these beautiful Chinese watercolours, and I've left the backs blank for writing. Show you this little postage stamp because it's so cute. Little red squirrel. Yeah, showing you that one. There's another pocket. Here's a little fold out with extra writing, and one of these beautiful Gordon Benningfield watercolours with the deer in the forest. And then this side is another pocket here. That's more writing paper, and that closes with a magnet. Another pocket with some sewn journaling cards, a little piece of silk sewing around. Another pocket, and a lovely woodland sketch, a poem, big pocket, and that's the other side of those papers. So that one I've done right across the page. And some gesso is always a good idea if you want more writing space, and I've just tinted that with a little bit of green, very pale green ink. You can colour your gesso with acrylic paints if you want. Here's another one of these envelopes, just a little bit of fussy cutting and some of the design papers there, and distressed and stitched. Where am I? I have to find my page now. Did I get up to here? Right, I think I put that the wrong way around, never mind. Oh, just some of the little pencil notes are quite cool on that botany book. One of these big tag envelopes, and that closes with a magnet. This is the best quote. He has such an interesting turn of phrase, the way he uses words. I'm really in love with Walt Whitman at the moment. This vintage Chinese image that I like to use, there's a little piece of bee tape. These bird images are from the Graphics Fairy, and what's good about these is that they are ping images, which means that they don't come with a white background, so you can use them and add them on top of other things. So although I've just added it here onto a blank page, you could put it in front of text, or even in front of a, you know, like a sky image or anything you want, and it will come out exactly as it is, not with a white box around it. So they are really useful to look out for when you get downloads. I'm always happy if you can get it in a ping format. This is a real, is that another vetch leaf, I think? Attached to a vintage book page and a little library, and that's protected in that little pocket. Some little scraps here. This, I've put some skeleton leaves in the colours that she likes, this soft yellow, blue, green, and I've put them between two layers of tracing paper so that you can get in the pocket and you're not damaging the skeleton leaves. They're protected inside, so rather than just stick it to the back, I recommend that's a good way to go, and then they're nice and safe. So again, with this inked tracing paper idea, I've done a green envelope with the 3 different papers, some vintage book, and this tracing paper. I think it's so cool that you can see inside envelopes. I don't know why, but you could certainly, even if you wanted to glue this into a proper envelope, you could use that in the mail. And I've done some nice stitching on there in different colours. And a little fussy cut mushroom. And where's that going? Some more Edith Holden pages, and that's another magnet, and that's another big pocket with stitching everywhere, and some writing space on the back. So that's the continuation of these wavy lines. More machine stitch lines. There's a beautiful painting here by Alexander Calam, a Swiss artist. I've included that because of the lovely mountains and the woodlands. A quote by Einstein. Another big pocket here. That's your writing practice. a tuck spot with a vintage owl image, and some hand dyed cloth, and I've embroidered this fussy cut mushroom onto here, so that's paper, and I've dyed this with oak to get these beautiful deep earthy inky colours. A little secret garden image, and there's a poem in there, and this is the other side of that book plate. Really beautiful quality, these colour plates. Moonrise on Mount Victoria. Oh, lovely blue colours. So here's another library with this leaf shape cut out that opens like so for this lovely watercolour. This is based on the wildlife of northern England. Some machine stitching here, and then so that's the pocket, and then on the back is another magnet pocket here, made from vellum and stitched all round. And then that's the last page, which I have sorry, what's the word? Typed. I have typed a poem on here, and I thought this very delicate cloth went very well with the content of the poem. So I'll just pause it there. It's by Yeats. I'll just hold it there in case you want to pause and read. And this is the most brilliant quote. Have I already said that in this book? This one is definitely the most brilliant. This is, unfortunately, an unknown author. Let's take our hearts for a walk in the woods and listen to the magic whispers of old trees. So thank you to Angie for that. Angie or Angela? Now I've got mixed up. I've been talking to too many people this week. So thank you, sweetheart, for letting me know that quote. It's beautiful. And so that's the end of this journal. There was a couple of things I wanted to mention, but I think I'm going to run out of time, so I may do a separate video later today. But for now, thank you everyone very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.